What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today I want to talk about homelessness in California. Specifically, there's an article on New York Times where Gavin Newsom is trying to take action on how he wants to address the homeless crisis going on in California. So the article is saying Newsom clears homeless camps in LA County where he wants more urgency. Governor Gavin Newsom, frustrated by county leaders who spurned his executive order cracking down on encampments, he visited their turf to clear homeless sites. And looking at the photo here, you can see him in casual attire, picking up trash himself. My question is, where was this energy 4 years ago? Heck, in 2019 when he got elected, the homeless population in California actually increased from 130,000 to 150,000. That was before the pandemic, and obviously during the pandemic that even got worse. The article goes on to say on July 25th, Newsom urged California cities to dismantle the street camps that have come to define the state's homelessness crisis. Leaders in LA have been particularly resistant to Mr. Newsom, making clear that they plan to deal with the issue in their own way and on their own timetable. So in LA, looks like they are pushing back on Newsom on his mandate to clear the camps, and they want to do it at their own timetable and their own way. Newsom said, "People are done if we don't deal with this. We don't deserve to be in office." "No, we don't, sir. No, we don't." He said, tearing into a rancid, garbage-strewn campsite on state property under Interstate 10 in LA, alongside a crew of state workers in orange vests. I was just in LA a couple weeks ago, and driving past the the freeway and through downtown LA. Yeah, it's pretty bad, and I didn't even go to the worst parts of the city as far as the homelessness are concerned. And I don't know where Newsom has been, but it's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's only getting worse. I work in the nightlife industry, and on the weekends, after I get off work, like around 2 a.m., 2:30, the homeless situation is, ever present every night. Most of the time I see them doing drugs, smoking crack. They got their tinfoil, they got their lighters, and it's out in the open. It's out on the street. They're all zonked out, and it's a dire situation. A lot of them are experiencing mental health issues. A lot of them dealing with addiction. I'd say most of the people I see there, obviously, on something, and it's dangerous to normal citizens to citizens walking past that environment and that situation. I myself have had to deal with a couple of instances where I had to defend myself from a person who is obviously mentally not right up there, and he didn't have anything in his hands or anything, but if I'm a guy and I think I can handle myself, and I did. But if you're a girl or someone else of a smaller stature, you are always probably worried about coming into a situation like that where it can be dangerous, especially if there's no one around in the middle of the night. So this has been going on for a while, and I've been in California, San Diego specifically, for about 25 years now. And it's gotten worse over the last, I'd say, 5, 6 years. It's just, especially during the pandemic, It was at its peak. And the data backs me up. I looked into it, and our homeless population as a nation is now back up to the 2007 numbers during the Great Financial Crisis. And I'll show you a graph later on um, to show you that I'm not pulling numbers out of nowhere. Going back to the article, Newsom said, it was part public service, part political flex that he's out there cleaning and picking up garbage himself. And he wants more urgency from the leaders of LA County, home to nearly 10 million Californians, where unsheltered homelessness decreased last year at about half the rate as it did in the city of LA, its largest jurisdiction. The article goes on to say the governor cannot demand the local governments crack down on homelessness, so he has encouraged them to remove camps, starting with those that pose the highest health and safety risk. So that's what I was saying earlier. You know, you see needles, drug paraphernalias, human excrement out on the street every night. You know, when you're, at least for me in downtown, you see it every night. It's really unfortunate, and that's the underlying issue. Is obviously people are addicted to drugs. A lot of them have mental health issues, but the cost of living here in California is so expensive that people cannot and are struggling to survive even with 2 jobs. So it doesn't surprise me that people are struggling, unable to pay their rent. They go under eviction. You kind of just spiral out of control. You turn to drugs just to cope and forget about all the worries. So it's gotten worse in the last several years. And again, my message to Californians and Gavin Newsom is, hey, where have you been since you were elected in 2019? I don't feel he's done enough to address the problem and issues. And under his leadership, the state has really gotten bad, right? Homelessness, you've got inflation, the cost of living here is so ridiculous. Crime is up. So under his leadership, I am not a fan of Gavin Newsom at all. And he's up for re-election, I believe, 2026. So if you are a Californian who's watching this, you already know, do not vote for this moron. After Newsom issued his executive order last month, the LA County Board of Supervisors declared that its county jails will not be used to house people removed from encampments. The sheriff has vowed that his agency will arrest homeless campers only if they commit a crime, not simply for sleeping in public spaces. The chair board supervisors said the outreach workers from a county-affiliated homeless authority had already provided services and housing offers to the people who live at the encampment that Mr. Newsom was clearing. The problem with demanding immediate enforcement, county leaders say, is that people have nowhere to go and will simply move elsewhere in the area. Yeah, that's true. Where are you going to put all the homeless people who are struggling with all the issues I already mentioned? Especially the weather here in California is, not harsh. So maybe some of those homeless are from out of state and they move here because the weather here is a lot more bearable if you are homeless. Although, who's to say really? It's hard to say. I'm sure there's data out there, but so Mayor Karen Bass has issued a steady stream of statements touting the positive results of her own approach. It prioritizes shelter and offers of support first, rather than scattering homeless campers with threats of citation, arrest, or forced eviction. This summer, LA Homeless Services Authority, the regional planning body that coordinates homelessness programs for the city and county, announced a 10% drop in the number of unsheltered homeless people compared with the previous year. the first double-digit decline in nearly a decade. So that's good progress. On Thursday morning, as word spread in LA that the governor was en route from San Diego, my hometown, Ms. Bass sent out 3 more statements. She said that her program, called Inside Safe, had recently found housing for 30 more homeless people, and that her lobbying with the federal government and the United States of mayors yielded a policy change that would make it easier for homeless veterans to obtain housing. And that's another thing too. You see a lot of homeless veterans out there. In the richest country on earth, at least we think we are. The care that we give to our veterans, after they serve and give their life and mind, body and mind to the nation, it's undeserving of what they have done for our country. Going on to the article, an estimated 180,000 people were homeless last year in California. Most of them are unsheltered. The state, California, has some of the highest housing costs in the nation, complicating the many other factors that contribute to homelessness. I already mentioned the housing situation here is really, really difficult. The state must notify campers in advance and work with local providers to connect them with services and housing. Property collected at each site must be bag tagged and stored for at least 60 days. Yeah, those homeless encampments, if you haven't seen one, I'm sure you have, they, collect belongings that they're trying to hang on in what little they have already. So it's really unfortunate that they've come under, extreme life situation where they can't depend on either friends, family, they don't have a job. So it's a complex situation. There's no easy answers and solutions to this, but I'm just surprised it took him this long to get on and try to fix this problem that's been going on and increased since he took office in 2019. This guy is saying that they build a lot of fires, the homeless situation, the encampments. An auto mechanic who does smog checks across the street from the encampment. There's only a few of them, but this is our environment. It's all dirty and smelly, and it's not really pleasant. And it's been that way since COVID. Yeah, when you walk past a homeless encampment, there's no, proper sanitation, and handle human waste. So it's a public health crisis as well. It's dangerous to walk at nighttime, and there's not much we can do about it. It's just homelessness everywhere. And LA is such a nice city, it's too bad. So I can corroborate with this individual in saying that it's dangerous to walk at night, which I do every weekend, coming back, getting out of my shift and going back to my car. So you always have to be very vigilant when you're walking at night. And I can only imagine what it's like if you are, a girl, and but yeah, it's bad time. Just in reference, I pulled up some numbers here. This is data from the government, the housing department. The rate of homelessness here in the nation is now back up to 2000 levels during the financial crisis. We were at 647,000, and steadily after that it's been decreasing, right? And it was the lowest in 2016 during Obama, and remained relatively stable through the Trump presidency, slight uptick. No data, obviously, from the pandemic. I'm sure there's a spike in there somewhere. And in 2022 and 23, under Biden and obviously Gavin, it has gotten back up to 653,000. Same levels and beyond the 2000 level financial crisis levels.